Hello and welcome to another Insider View with myself, Tim Swainson, and Sid Bloodsore. How you doing, Sid?
I'm great. Tim, how's it going?
Yeah, not too bad, thank you. Not too bad. We're back for another discussion, Sid, via Kemp Live, Insider View. This time we're going to be discussing how does Citrix ADC stack up against Kemp. That's going to be a good subject. We've got 15 minutes of people's time to get this message across, Sid. So
Yep.
we're really going to jump straight into this, aren't we?
Yeah.
And go through these areas that are worth considering. So there's many reasons for companies to be considering their infrastructure, their resources, their accessibility, their availability, how that's managed and monitored, and also the costs to ensure that they've got the correct skilled staff in place and making sure that they're controlling those costs effectively. You know, because a lot of companies are seeing their budgets are being addressed at the moment with the pandemic that companies are still facing. We're seeing those squeezed. How do how are we seeing this in sort of our side of the market, Sid?
Well, we're seeing a big intake in regards to people coming to us asking around, as you mentioned, around the cost benefit as such. We're seeing a lot of um, good uptake in that. So we're seeing a lot of people coming in for VDI solutions, also people working from home, as we
Yeah.
discussed a couple months back. That's picked up quite a bit. So that's one of
Hmm.
the key things we've seen since we last spoke to each other on this.
Yeah, and obviously load balancers have still got a critical place, haven't they? So what are people going to be using their load balancers for, Sid?
Yeah, so people are going to be using load balancers for making sure that they have resiliency, removing downtime,
Yeah.
scaling out when they need to. So when they have multiple servers they need to add on, the load balancer is able to help with the scalability, ensuring that there's high availability on the load balancer side. Last thing we want is for anyone to buy our load balancers and not get the full resiliency that they expect from a load balancer as well. That's one of the things that people expect when they have a load balancer, or if they don't, what we would educate them on. And we want to make sure that the load balancer still provides the best connection to the best server at the best time for that end user. At the end of the day, it's looking at it like you don't want to go overkill. You don't want to need to use a rocket launcher to take out a fly. Okay, you need to use something that's appropriate,
Of
right?
course, yeah.
So it's about finding the right balance, find the right solution to meet their needs, understand where it fits in, and not have to, as I mentioned, go overkill. That's one thing we don't want people to do. And a lot of businesses use Citrix successfully in key areas of what they do,
Hmm.
but it doesn't mean that they have to take the load balancing option as an additional because it comes with everything. There are ways in that people can use 9/10 of the solution and have a more cost effective option as well.
So that's an interesting point you've raised there, because this year Kemp have announced that our load master can be used to support Citrix virtual apps or virtual desktops. Many people will know those as Zen apps or Zen desktops,
Yeah.
because we can now load balance Citrix storefront for customers. So that's an extremely popular solution for hosting and delivering those applications that people might be using for those remote devices, ranging from Windows PCs to the likes of iPads, as we've seen so many people being able to use multiple things to connect in. So this enhanced capability, then we've really got the opportunity now to look at not just replacing Citrix ADC or NetScaler in new customer scenarios, but also replacing it when a support renewal comes up for companies. So there's a couple of times where this conversation that you and I are now going to have is
Yep.
one that we're likely to see happening a lot more of. But there's a couple of key areas, and I'm going to go through these with you now at just a pace to be able to look at what it is that companies are coming to us and the questions they're asking and the things they need to consider. So let's start off with the most common question that's raised, and that's the cost of these sort of solutions.
Yep.
So it's an important starting factor, and obviously campaign to provide simplified, flexible licensing options. How have you seen these change over the recent years, Sid?
Well, it's a good question to start off with, Tim, because a couple years back, we offered the different features
Hmm.
by their own on their own. So more like an a la carte menu. You would have the web application firewall on its own. You would
Yeah.
have other features on their own, which you have to add in when you buy the support. but we took the decision to streamline that and have it as 3 tiers. So we're having it really in the case of you have your standard support, which is your just Monday to Friday support. Then you have your enterprise, which is 24/7, which comes with the reverse proxy and also Kemp Central and Vision. And then we have Enterprise Plus, which gives you everything that I just mentioned, plus the application firewall and the geo load balancing. So we're trying to make it simplified and easy. And we had great success in that as well when we made that switch over, because we saw that we want to make everything that we do at Kemp simple to use and easy to put into practice.
And easy to understand as well. So it's not, right, we've got a load balancing solution we now need to add and we need to increase them. The cost just escalated out of control there. Another approach that we've taken is with the type of licenses that companies can offer. So we've got perpetual, we've got subscription, we've got monthly with fixed instances, we've got consumption, and we've also got pooled license options. So we're really making the access to licenses as easy and as flexible as we possibly can do, so that anybody that's looking at how they can control their costs, one simple license really just looks at it. But it's not just licenses that cause a cost, Sid. We also need to consider the costs for training and certification. How do Kemp take care of that?
Well, that's a good thing you asked as well. So if we look at what it takes for you to make a load balancer operational and to get up and running, we at Kemp will take about maybe a day in order to get you trained up, and then the cost for the test is included when you take the course. So you have an online course you would take, multiple choice, and then from there it's a case of, okay, now that you're certified, now it validates. Here, I can actually use a load balancer. I can do A, B, and C with it. And we're not saying to you, it takes a week to go through all of our load balancing and fine detail, because to be honest, it doesn't need that much.
Okay, so within a day's worth of training, and that's something I know that you provided, within a day's worth of training, an engineer could walk away with enough knowledge to be able to deploy and manage and use a Kemp solution.
Yeah.
That's quite effective, really, isn't it? And that's obviously the cost considerations that companies need to take into account when they're looking at the type of solutions that they're going to have and how they be used. So, okay, if it's that easy to be trained on, Sid, does that mean that it's pretty straightforward to set up and manage? If Kemp only requires that short of time to be certified, it's got to be easy to use, hasn't it? How do you go about dealing with that?
Well, yeah. So one of the things that a load balancer needs to be easy to use. It needs to be quick to implement. So on the one hand, we have templates for when we have to go and do the actual load balancing, so we can bring the cost of implementation time down significantly. At the same time, people want to be able to read some documentation on, okay, why is this option here? How do I set this up? So we have really great documentation on the website to also align with that as well. The last thing people want to have is, how do I set this up? And you can't find any way of how to get it working. And we want to make sure everything is right where the customer needs it, the tools are right in their hands, and they can get the job done.
Brilliant. So surely though, Sid, it's not always that straightforward. Okay, and Kemp provides support for a reason, don't we? So we provide support to our customers to be able to work with us, and it's really that can perhaps make or break an experience with some of the solutions and the services that customers might be using, or how it is that Kemp can be viewed. Maybe if I just head over to our website and we can have a quick look at not just what we have to say, but really where industry validation comes into play. Now, for you to take a look at this yourself, if you head over to our website, which is kemp.ax, and you can head over to the why Kemp and then the industry validation, and you'll be able to see from the key names within the industry, the level of appreciation that we get, not only from our customers, but also from these validation routes. So for example, we get the opportunity to boast about 4.9 out of 5 when it comes to peer insights. Now, even if we were to head over to that, it's great to be able to see that from companies that are using the Kemp product, they're all giving such great praise for us, for the sort of products that we have to offer. how it is that we compare against the sort of solutions that they might already be using. So just within a couple of clicks, if you're considering the type of product that you're using and you want to take a look at not just what the vendor has to say about their product, but what your peers and what your companies within the same market as you have to say, please head over to these sort of feeds to take a look. So a great resource there that people can actually take a look at and use. But what else have people got access to, Sid?
Well, they also have access to some case studies as well. They also have ways that they can see where people in their sector, or maybe just people using the competitor's product and moved over to us, what was their journey like? Okay, so one example from ours is Keep Mode Homes. Okay, so the play here is that they moved to us from a previous solution. And in their words, they were saying that the solution was complicated to use, it was convoluted in how it set it up, and it was creating a significant overhead for the admin staff.
Right. Okay. And we've obviously got a web page that we can show now that shows some of those case studies that we have. You've just mentioned there the Keep Mode Homes. If we put that onto the screen now, we can easily see that. Nice to see from a customer the sort of challenges that they were facing, the things they were trying to achieve, how it was that Kemp was able to give them not only the product, but also the support that they require. So plenty of them that can be taken a look at in the different industries, and maybe just a couple others that we can discuss now, Sid, while we just finish off what we're talking about here today.
Yeah, sure.
I've had the opportunity to speak to a number of different companies about them looking at the type of products they're using. One example was the police forces that we work with.
Right.
You know, it's been seen that we've got a great presence across the police forces in the UK. And there's one that we spoke to just recently that was looking at, well, they use us in one area, but then they use the likes of Citrix in other areas of the way in which they run things. They were not aware of all of the areas that Kemp could offer. We got the opportunity to show them how Kemp could do reverse proxy. We've got cloud readiness. We can be put into Azure or AWS, the central management that could simplify things for them. And then combining then the licenses and the support that they got was going to reduce their overhead in admin as well. And now that they're aware, now that a lot of those customers in the police forces are aware of how Kemp can match what they would have seen from their normal use of things like Citrix, then they're going to be putting Kemp forward at time of renewal. So that's great to see that we've got a customer base that trusts us and works with us already, but they can now get so much more from what they're maybe duplicating or efforts or times or ways in which they're running things in other areas. We've seen it also within healthcare.
Yeah, we have.
Yeah, we got the opportunity this year to work with the UK government medical body that's at the forefront of the COVID response. Now, they had a security audit that they needed to make sure met a particular deadline for that security requirement. Now, they unfortunately had not got confidence in the NetScaler that they were using, and based on the reliability that was needed because of the pandemic that this globe is now facing, and especially here in the UK, they needed to change that, and they needed to make sure that their impact on the UK health services was not affected by that security challenge that they had. They were wowed by the ease of use. They found it simple, automated, and then Kemp's professional services team, the ability that we were able to demonstrate to them in quickly and easily moving their product from where they were to a Kemp solution and easily integrating with their external storefront access. Another happy customer that moved across to Kemp. And many more of these examples can be seen via the links that we've mentioned previously. So if anybody that's taken a look at this would really like to know more about what we've discussed, or you'd like to be able to test it yourself, then we please ask you to take a look at accessing our trial. That can be accessed via kemp.ix/try, and you get a full access to a 30-day trial, including our support team. And that's a great way for you to get a feel for how our product works and how it can be used. And if you've liked this particular subject, if it's one you want to know more about, then we will also be holding another webinar that will be hosted by Frank Yu, and that will be really looking at in a more technical detail the comparisons between Kemp and other vendors' solutions. That's going to be held on the 12th of November, and we'll be able to provide you with some links in the chats following these sessions. Thanks to everybody that's joined us today. We look forward to seeing you again in the coming months. Thanks for your time.
Take care.